Hi everyone, welcome to our today's Farm Health Special. आज हमारे साथ जो एक्सपर्ट हैं वो हैं डॉक्टर अंजलि पूजा सांगवान. She is an obesity, advanced metabolic and functional medicine specialist. Ma'am has been a part of Farm Health since long. She has contributed to Farm Health journey a lot, and I'm really glad that she took up the time and talked to us again. Ma'am, welcome to Farm Health.
Thank you so much, Dr. Khubsurat. Thanks for introducing me in the correct way.
जी मैम, pleasure is all mine. Pleasure is all mine, ma'am. Ma'am, COVID की crisis के चलते the entire world is under lockdown, and this gives a lot of time for us to introspect, to see what went wrong where. And considering that you have such a vast knowledge and vast research that you have done on metabolic disorders at a time when doctors were not taking up this were not even acknowledging metabolic syndrome as a disease condition. तो मैम, कोविड में मेटाबॉलिक सिंड्रोम जिन लोगों को, पहले तो हमको समझा दीजिए कि प्लीज मेटाबॉलिक सिंड्रोम क्या होता है and what is the correlation? Are they at more risk, and if they are, how?
So metabolic syndrome comprises of 2-3 things. Actually, the old definition is not the new, it's not valid anymore. So metabolic syndrome is increased baseline and insulin resistance hand in hand, high weight, increased blood pressure, and increased lipids, which is cholesterol. So this is a collective syndrome of all these disorders together. So when a patient has a metabolic syndrome, they become automatically immune compromised because there is inability of their body to fight any infection in the best way possible. So it's not like every metabolic syndrome patient will fall ill, but they most of them have an immunocompromised state because the body is already having a lot of toxic load, and because of this, another toxin like a COVID, when it comes into the body, so COVID is now known to activate NLRP3, which is a cytotoxin. So now what is being seen, now there was a study, now there's a prospective study going on in Wuhan at the moment, where they have seen whatever the deaths have happened due to what conditions. Hypertension, obesity, diabetes were the 3 conditions. They have seen more number of deaths, and I'm not talking about the patients with compromised lung function right now. We'll concentrate on the metabolic syndrome. So more number of deaths are happening due to that. So there is a direct correlation we are seeing, and also in UK, I have a very renowned colleague called Dr. Asim. He's a cardiologist in UK, and I just got a call from him yesterday that most deaths, when NHS system is reporting more deaths in people with metabolic syndrome. So what we are seeing is we never thought that this could also happen. What we are seeing is that there is a direct correlation. And because this virus is causing something called a cytokine storm. So in the view of this, patients who have metabolic syndrome are unable to fight to their best effort, right? So this is what this whole metabolic syndrome and COVID correlation comes in. So so people, especially who have diabetes, now diabetes now is not a part of metabolic syndrome. Diabetes has now gone a way up. So metabolic syndrome was insulin resistance and higher waist circumference and all. But diabetes itself is a condition which is already immunocompromised, and that we have known. That is something that we have known. It's nothing new that I'm telling you. That is something we have known. So in that view, there is now a very important need to follow and understand, follow a different kind of diet and lifestyle, and to understand how serious this problem is. So we have to now our next step is going to be how to reduce this in our population, because as you know, India has a lot of diabetics. I don't have the exact stats. I had it at some point in some conference. Now I don't. But there are many people who are diabetic, and metabolic syndrome is existing, but we don't have numbers because it is never counted. Even if a person comes to your OPD, we are seeing metabolic syndrome, but not many people are counting it as a disease,
Yes,
because
yes.
it's a lifestyle disease,
Yeah.
and it can be obviously reversed. We are reversing this, and it's very easily reversed, and that's what we have to know, that it is a reversible condition, and within a matter of 2 to 3 weeks, you can totally reverse metabolic syndrome.
जी मैम, ये आपने बहुत अच्छे से एक्सप्लेन करा कि कैसे हाउ डायबिटीज वाज इनिशियली अ पार्ट ऑफ मेटाबॉलिक सिंड्रोम एंड नाउ इट हैज गॉन अ स्टेप हायर बिकॉज लाइक यू राइटफुली सेड दैट इट metabolic syndrome is what comes as a part of metabolic syndrome is insulin resistance, which is seen as the first step towards developing diabetes. And secondly, you mentioned a very important point called cytokine storm. मैम थोड़ी अगर सिंपल वर्ड्स में बताएं तो क्या होता है cytokine storm?
Cytokine is a toxin which is released in your own bloodstream normally when you have too much of toxin from the food or sugar and things that are not good for you. So now when the virus is replicating fast, it is also releasing cytokines in your system. So that's why it is being called as a cytokine storm.
जी जी मैम, जी बहुत अच्छे से बताया आपने मैम साइटोकाइन स्टॉर्म के बारे में। मैम तो ये जो आपके पास पेशेंट्स आ रहे हैं जिनको भी मेटाबॉलिक डिसऑर्डर्स हैं, सो मैम उनमें कैसे, जैसे आपने एक तो साइटोकाइन स्टॉर्म से समझाया कि हाउ दे आर मोर आर बिकॉज आई रिमेंबर व्हेन आई स्पोक टू वन ऑफ द another obesity expert, उन्होंने भी बताया कि how people who have obesity and other metabolic conditions, they are more prone to infections including COVID because it has something to do with their immunity.
Yes, definitely. Immunity is the game changer here now, because anyone who has an immune compromised state is having worse side effects. So we can be a carrier and we can be a healthy carrier, but people who have immune compromised state, such as a cancer survivor or a respiratory condition or a smoker or a diabetic, so we are all immunocompromised, though that set of patients is definitely immunocompromised, and immunity is now number one way to build to go further in this crisis and pandemic, because first of all, immunity has to be, building up immunity and having a bad immunity are two different things. So when somebody is already immunocompromised, for them to build immunity will take very long. So for now, if you have a certain condition, if that condition can be controlled, that itself will build immunity. That's a start of the immunity building. And then comes in other foods and supplements and stuff that we are encouraging people to take.
जी जी मैम, मैम हाँ ये आपने बहुत अच्छा बताया क्योंकि बहुत सारे लोग जो इस वक्त हैं दे आर एक्चुअली लुकिंग फॉर क्विक फिक्सेस फॉर इम्यूनिटी, बट लाइक यू सेड दैट देयर इज नो वे टू लाइक फिक्स इट इन अ गो. इट हैज टू बी देयर, लाइक द प्रॉपर लाइफस्टाइल modifications have to be there right from when the child is born. Very aptly put. Ma'am, when we talk about metabolic syndrome or metabolic disorders, what are the 2-3 most common disorders that you see, and could you just define them a bit more elaborately for our viewers?
Metabolic disorders are generally diabetes, and now it's the term diabetes and obesity together we call diabesity. So that I think we have already defined what is diabetes. Anybody having high blood sugar. Now diabetes can be type 1, type 2. Type 1 unfortunately cannot be reversed or dealt with in the same manner as type 2. So type 2 diabetes is reversible to a certain point, and metabolic syndrome is reversible to its 100%. So metabolic conditions, these are the only metabolic conditions that one can totally reverse right now. As far as hyperlipidemia and blood pressure go, they're also reversible with the diet and lifestyle changes. But if a person has a hypertension, which is some other cause, like an essential hypertension, that may not be reversible. And obesity is definitely, that it is reversible, and people can actually once they start losing weight and once they start the lifestyle changes, it can be reversed also. So these are the metabolic conditions that we should be concentrating on, because these are lifestyle diseases and they are non-communicable and can be reversed easily.
Ji, ma'am, and when it comes to insulin resistance, like you mentioned, you must be knowing this more than me, that some years back there were many diabetologists in our country and around the world who did not even want to agree that a condition like pre-diabetes exists. And now everybody is advocating, that there is a place when you have pre-diabetes and it is entirely reversible, and that is where metabolic disorders and metabolic experts like you comes in place. So ma'am, in your practice, do you get pre-diabetes, and how is pre-diabetes reversed?
So pre-diabetes is a condition which is very, very common, and especially in my patient population is very common. So when we define a pre-diabetic, what we do is we have to see their fasting insulin, right? Fasting and postprandial after food insulin. So when we are seeing those, and commonly when a person with a higher weight comes to the clinic and has done everything else and not able to lose weight, and then has come to seek help from me, that's when I test their insulin levels to know, because even in a case of like a PCOD patient who has a polycystic ovarian disease, they are basically pre-diabetic. So the diabetes hasn't started full on. Their HbA1c still may be in the normal range, but their insulin, fasting insulin is higher. Their leptin is higher. We have to check for these things, because a lot of my colleagues and even when I was just doing internal medicine, even I never checked for all these things. But I realized that to understand and to see a progress of a patient, so there has to be a parameter to monitor. So if I see somebody has a fasting insulin of, let's say, 25, which is very high, and then after a lifestyle and a food change and some supplements, we do this again after a month, and the insulin has dropped down to 8. So we have a parameter that has measured, and the drop of insulin will be directly proportional to the weight. Yeah. Wow. So then this is a measurable. So weight is a measurable parameter. Waist circumference is a measurable parameter. Fat percentage is a measurable parameter, and so is insulin. So this way, one can totally reverse the pre-diabetes, because eventually that will be, if the control is not done by the patient, that will go to becoming diabetes. And pre-diabetes is much, much more common. It's almost like in my patient population, every second or third person is having insulin resistance, because I get a lot of PCOD patients, I get a lot of overweight patients all the time, and some young kids, they have weight issues, and then if the insulin is not done, the fasting insulin, because if it's not done, then we don't know whether they are going to be insulin, are they insulin resistant or not. So what is insulin resistance? Basically, when a patient eats, everybody, like you and I, when we eat a food, we have an insulin release from the pancreas to lower the sugar levels that have come into the system. So in these patients, what happens is insulin remains high. It does not go back once it has spiked. So once it does not go back, that means the patient has a spiked insulin throughout the day, which will result in fat accumulation, because insulin is basically an anabolic hormone.
Yes.
It causes you bigger, it makes you grow, right? Yeah. So if you have an insulin level which has not gone down after food, once the the food has been digested and everything, and then still the insulin is at a higher peak throughout the day, one, there is going to be a lot of hunger. Second, there is going to be a constant fat accumulation. And then because of hunger, the patient will end up eating more carbohydrates, because they don't really know the difference in the macros. So then we are in a situation which is a catch-22, like what to do now. So best is to first lower that insulin level, and then follow the patient repeatedly over the few months, and then get the result that we need.
Yeah. Ma'am, this is actually fascinating what you just mentioned, the how the correlation of insulin resistance, especially with a condition like PCOD, and also with obesity and being overweight, something that should be emphasized more, even by internal medicine experts as well. Since now we have so much when it comes to laboratory investigations and others. Thank you so much for this insight, ma'am. This is really insightful. Ma'am, when it comes to your patients, and like everyone who's staying indoors right now is struggling with their weight, is trying to keep their metabolism high, और ये भी नहीं पता कि कैसे high रखना है metabolism को. So, ma'am, ऐसा बताइए कि are there actually ways by which we can boost our metabolism, and what should we do to keep our insulin levels checked, to keep our weight from getting too high?
So there are some things that one can do to increase that fat burning. Basically, metabolism increases basically that, utilizing your own stores for energy. So if you want to do that, the best way is to go on a low carb diet. You have to be smart about the food. So it should be more volume and lowering the density of carbohydrate. Second, you can exercise in short bursts of activity. Like, you don't have to do a complete 1 hour workout at one time, because a lot of this particular patient population doesn't have the strength. They don't have that muscle mass that they can keep going for an hour. So short bursts of physical activity, 5 to 10 minutes, 2 to 3 times a day is good enough. Because even doing 1 hour of workout and then you come and plonk on your bed or sofa all day long will not give you the benefit. We know that constant sitting is the new smoking. So we want a short burst of activity constantly by these patients. And obviously doing the low carb and managing the protein, and also not forgetting that fat is an important source of energy, which does not spike insulin. So if a patient is having enough fat, enough good fats, I'm not talking about vegetable oils. We are talking about ghee, we are talking about nuts, things like that. So if a patient is having enough fat in their diet, that gives them the energy that they lack and also keeps them full. So they don't have these hunger pangs. So because insulin never spiked, the hunger pan will be low, and the person can actually take full control on their life by doing so. Otherwise, if you want to eat carbs every few hours, another thing that people are doing a lot of wrong things right now are snacking constantly because
I was about to
so if you snack constantly, okay. So if you're snacking constantly when you are at home, what happens is every time you spike your insulin is going to remain high, and you're going to constantly feel hungry. So you have to have long periods of fasting in between the meals. So your own energy that is stored as form of glycogen can be used as energy for yourself. And as I said, fat consumption is equally important. A lot of people are going for low fat foods, which is totally wrong thing.
Yeah. Ma'am, you have emphasized this before also on the talks that you have had with us, with the team, how important it is to incorporate healthy fats in our diet. Ma'am, when it comes to a few healthy snacking options, although we do not have to indulge in binge eating, but if we have to indulge in some healthy snacks, जो आपको लगता है कि especially जब हम work from home कर रहे हैं, तो जो हम अपने table पे afford कर सकते हैं to keep, what are some of them?
So there are healthy snacks can be liquid and solid. So I prefer that in liquid snacks, one could go for lassi, coconut water, or homemade iced tea or homemade iced coffee without sugar. So these are the drinks that one can have at home. And in terms of your snacking, nuts is number one. And a lot of people like pop snacks, which is like a popcorn. But since popcorn is spiked sugar, I prefer makhane, because makhane is the glycemic index of makhane is very low, and it can be home roasted. So makhane is good. The natural sugars which are we also know that we need vitamin C and antioxidants from the fruits. So there can be one can have 1 fruit or 2 fruits daily depending on the sugar levels, and also make your own vegetable snacks. Like if you can cut the vegetables, cucumbers, carrots and everything, and have with some dahi or maybe like a raita or with a dip, those can be a very snack. And not everybody, I expect them to bake snacks at home right now. But these are the things that you can easily do. You can also have peanut butter, almond butter, those kind of things, and you can put it on a fruit or a cucumber, and that way you get the fat and you absorb the nutrients from the vegetable, so, or a fruit. So that combination is also very, very good.
Ji. Ma'am, I'm definitely going to give these a try, because otherwise I generally reach out to the refrigerator for something unhealthy. Ma'am, one thing that has changed in me, and I know you're a strict disciplinarian, but maybe it has changed in you a bit also, is our sleep schedule. Ever since we have been under lockdown, we have
Yeah.
not been very regular, and our routine has gone for a toss. So, ma'am, what is the correlation between the sleep and metabolism, if there is any, and how important is it to have adequate and regular sleep?
So sleep, lack of sleep is directly related to weight gain. There are many, actually, if you go to Google Scholar, you'll see many studies published like that. So if you don't sleep well, you're going to snack extra. So if a 7 hour or minimum 7 hours of restful sleep is what what is recommended, even I recommend that. And I know that timetable is a little weird, people are waking up late or sleeping late and everything. But it's best to make a timetable so that you are able to complete your 7 hours of restful sleep. Even though we are at home, there is no need to go haywire, no need to think, oh, what am I going to do today? There can be a timetable made by everyone. You can designate like an hour of exercise. You can designate, okay, I have to be in the kitchen from this much to this much time. So one can do that, but sleeping 7 hours is going to be number one, because sleep sleep will rejuvenate you. Sleep decreases stress, and sleep stress on the other hand will increase immunity. So if we are watching TV till late, no matter what we are watching, stress does happen. So that itself is a immunity buster, not a booster. So so that is very important. So definitely sleep has a direct correlation. If I tell you, see the data of my own patient population and the sleep they have, it's usually people are awake till 4 a.m. Yes. Most of the people who are overweight are awake till 3 to 4 a.m. and then they sleep, and then actually some of them wake up at 7 or 8 to exercise, which is a wrong thing. If you have to choose between exercise and sleep, we always have to choose sleep. Always. So don't wake up if you have not completed your sleep. Do not wake up and go for a workout. It can be very bad for your health.
Yes, ma'am, and also like you rightfully mentioned, the timings, because like nighttime sleep cannot be replaced by daytime or
no, it cannot be replaced, because most of the hormones are secreted from 2 to 4 a.m. Growth hormone, melatonin, these are all, and melatonin is, by the way, right now one of the supplements that is coming in light for the prevention of COVID. So melatonin is secreted between 2 to 4 a.m. from your pineal gland, and it is only secreted in the restful sleep. So if you are going to have if you're going to be watching TV so restful sleep only comes after 1 hour of sleep. When you actually gone to bed, restful sleep takes about an hour or so. Like if you go to the sleep cycle, the REM and the NREM. So melatonin is not secreted properly. So you again, your circadian rhythm would not be formed, because it's a circadian rhythm hormone. Then we talk about growth hormone. Growth hormone is a metabolic hormone, and more growth hormone we have, the better our muscle mass is. So if the growth hormone secretion is suspended during the night, or there is inhibited during the night because of lack of sleep or not sleeping on time, then obviously you're going to go gain weight. So these are the actual explanations of why lack of sleep causes weight gain.
Yes, ma'am. These are like fabulous. Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing them. And lastly, since I'm a mother of almost an 8-year-old, bachon pe bhi, it is in COVID and the fact that children are indoors, it is impacting them in their own ways. So, ma'am, some important tips that you would like to give to all the mothers out there for their children.
Yes, so I think most of the mothers are struggling. I mean, your kid is still 8, but some of us have teenagers. So it's very difficult. They think they're half adults, and it's very difficult to put them to sleep on time. And so I think what I do most of the time is I educate them. I send them WhatsApp messages on whatever I find, a study or something, because they're well educated, they are studying, and they are, they can understand the data. So it's best to educate your kids first, because most kids are actually very conscious of the way they look at during their teenage. And other mothers who have younger kids like yours, you have to designate, you have to be the bad master. You have to make sure that they sleep on time, because at 8 they're growing really fast, and they need that growth in their sleep. And for your kid, I would suggest 8 hours, definitely 8 to 10 if possible. But if that cannot happen, at least 8 hours can be easily incorporated. So I think the moms need to make sure that the way we concentrate on their education, sleep timing and food are two important things that we have to concentrate, because that's what will make them perform in school. So it's not about the books and the tuitions and the schools. It's more about how their lifestyle is, because most memory connections are made in deep sleep. And those nervous system connections will not be made if the kid is, on the sly, they are awake. You have to make some rules. You have to take away the phones, you have to take away the gadgets. You will have to do that, because until they reach 18, you are still the boss. And we have to behave like one. A lot of the mothers give in, and I have seen that in my friends and a lot of my patient population, that mothers just give up and they're sunta hi nahi hai, sunta hi nahi. It's like that. So that's not an explanation. If you're a mother, behave like one. Make sure that you are making the rules and they're being followed. Ek din nahi hoga, do din nahi hoga, but by 1 week, you will do it, and you just have to give a timeout. If you're not going to give a timeout, this may not happen. And if you're just slightly slack also, you just give up and say, mujhe nahi, I'm not, I can't do it anymore. That kind of attitude cannot happen. Just don't give up anymore. You have to constantly, because kids are very ziddi, they will put their need first. They'll put their point across to you 100 times. Just imagine if they need something, they keep bugging you,
Yeah.
And when we need something, and we don't get it, we kind of give up as a mother. We say, okay, chal chhod.
They're quite resilient. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have to be worse than them in terms of making that discipline. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like you said something really amazing, and that was how like, although it is important to go out and study and everything, but how developing a healthy lifestyle at this age is very important, because like you said, memory and so many other things are connected with the right metabolism, with the right lifestyle. And you have summed so many important things today in such a fabulous way, in such a short span of time, ma'am. Ma'am, before we call it a day, could you just say a few words out there for everyone who's watching you? Just a general advice.
Well, general advice is that there is no way to beat this pandemic except staying home and immunity boosting. So staying home comes number one, no matter what happens. But eventually lockdown will be over. We will be going out. We will be having a new normal. And we will be needing that backup of immunity. So somehow and indirectly, the government or the virus has made us stay home, and by staying home, we also have indirectly built up the immunity. Immunity is not in a bottle. You have already built it up if you have rested, if you have eaten fresh homemade food, and you're sleeping well, and you're hydrating yourself. You're not exerting. There is less stress, less greed, no shopping. So I think somewhere immunity has already started developing. All we need is to keep it intact, and all we need is to know that these are the only basis of immunity. Anything else that comes in a bottle is a bonus. That's all I'd like to say.
It's always a pleasure talking to you. Maybe I just lost the connection here. Yeah. Can you hear me? Yeah, ma'am. So I was just saying that it's always a pleasure to talk to you, especially you just mentioned this fact about immunity and how are actually decreasing our stress. We just had a cardiologist say exactly the same words, that our stress levels are going low, considering that we are staying indoors, we are not fighting, we are not racing against time. So ma'am, yeah. So ma'am, thank you so much for taking out the time to talk to us. It was a pleasure and an honor to have a conversation with you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Same here, Dr.
Thank you.
Khubsurat. I'm
Thank
very
you.
happy that Fam Health is doing well, and giving this message to the entire world is very important at this point. Thank you so much for having me.
So guys, if you have any questions or queries related to health, you know where to log into, famhealth.in/community. You can get information on diabetes, cancer, weight loss, pregnancy, and lots of other interesting stuff. Stay indoors, stay healthy, and stay safe. Thank you.